What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the compassionately cold-hearted Dr. Disaster. And, in many ways, over the past decade or so, gamers have been the tip of the spear in the culture war, the warriors standing in the nexus of the storm and telling the overbearing powers that be that we will not put up with their crap.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight!
Gamers are a notoriously non-compliant bunch. I firmly believe this is why the first Gamergate happened. The powers that be wanted to break us. They wanted to ruin our hobbies and change them into a sanitized, corporate, progressive thing so that we would either join them or be too demoralized to fight back. But gamers have stubbornly persisted for the past decade, rejecting a lot of this propagandistic crap that has been injected into gaming.
Get that stinking shit out of my face.
This is why we saw last year certain elements of the progressive corporate cabal. They came after Steam because they knew that gamers were a tough nut to crack as long as we had access to a gamer-friendly platform like that. The Anti-Defamation League started smearing Gabe Newell and Valve, and left-wing members of the US government pressured Steam to crack down on so-called extremist gamers and to join their corporate cabal. Obviously that shit didn't work though, so they instead tried something more direct. I'm pretty sure this new censorious movement is made up of the same people. They leveraged the power of the payment processors, threatening Steam's livelihood if they didn't remove perfectly legal games that they just didn't like.
It's important for me to have my way, and I'm going to get my way by complaining.
We all know that they're only starting out with the adult-oriented material. The slippery slope will happen, and then these payment processors will crack down on things with so-called hateful material next. Well, fortunately, some help is arriving on this front for gamers. Donald Trump has swooped in and signed an executive order requiring that financial institutions are not refusing their services to someone based on political or religious beliefs. Now, this doesn't automatically fix all of our problems, but it is a sign that at least someone in government is listening to our concerns and taking measures to stop this censorship crap. This is an important blow that at least begins to hit them where it hurts.
What? What? What happened?
Get that little bitch! Hello.
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, I've begun uploading some content onto Rumble, so make sure you follow Dr. Disaster over there, and don't forget to follow me over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster 1. But anyhow, let's dig into this executive order, which is at least a good start for helping gamers fighting against the censorship that has been coming for us. In order to get a sense of what was in this executive order, we're going to read this article here from Reuters. It says, U.S. President Donald Trump stepped up pressure on large banks and their regulators on Thursday, signing an executive order requiring the banking industry to ensure it is not refusing financial services to anyone based on political or religious beliefs, a practice frequently described as debanking. The order directed regulators to review all banks they supervise for any current or past practices that would effectively bar customers based on political or religious beliefs and levy fines or other disciplinary measures as needed. It said agencies may refer certain cases to the Justice Department for potential civil action and also directed regulators themselves to purge any policies or practices that may discourage banks from providing services based on non-financial reasons. Alright, so there are some positive and negative takeaways from this. On the plus side, love him or hate him, quite clearly Donald Trump and people within his orbit are hearing what gamers have been saying with regards to the payment processor censorship that has taken place. As I'm sure most of you remember, a few weeks ago, a petition was started which was meant to pressure the US Congress to pass a proposed law which would take away this monopolistic power being used by these financial institutions as they work together. Currently, as you can see, the petition is just under 250,000 signatures. I will be putting a link in the description of this video to the petition, by the way, so that you can sign it if you haven't yet. But to top it off, people have been talking about the censorship topic quite a bit as it reached a crescendo in the past few weeks, with entities like the UK government pushing to exert control over what everyone can see on the internet with their Online Safety Act leading the way. This has gotten the attention of the US president, and he has wisely taken action against the behavior from these banks. After all, quite often, these payment processors are coming after content creators and gamers, two groups of people who I firmly believe, if it weren't for those groups, Trump would not be the president right now. Years ago, sites like Patreon came after content creators like Sargon of Akkad, and nothing was done about it, and that led to a very bleak few years, and the height of woke shit in our culture happened not long after that. It is heartening to see at least some action being taken to prevent a repeat of this sort of thing, but there are a few problems with this executive order. The first and most glaring issue is the fact that it is an executive order. If you aren't familiar with what an executive order is, it's a command given out by the president to direct how the government conducts itself. These executive orders have become more and more powerful and common over the past few decades, but the thing is, it's unclear how much teeth an order like this has. Presidential orders must be followed by government employees, but private businesses have much more leeway to ignore executive order, and you can be sure that companies like Mastercard and Visa will be primed and ready to fight this sort of thing. Though, it's worth pointing out that the financial industry is heavily regulated, to the point that they might as well be government employees, so who knows how much teeth this will have with regards to regulating Mastercard and Visa. But all that sort of thing aside, even if this order ends up being perfectly binding for these financial institutions, executive orders can be easily rescinded by the next president. If someone like Joe Biden becomes president in 2028 next time around, there is nothing preventing that person from overturning this order. So, what we need is legislation passed by Congress and ratified by Trump. That is much harder to remove, and it is of course critical that this is done so that our voices are not silenced by the payment processor companies who work in tandem like they're a monopoly. Another issue with this order, though, is that it isn't broad enough in my view. It specifically orders that people are not debanked based on political or religious beliefs. If these massive companies are permitted to graft themselves onto every legitimate business and take a small percentage of every transaction everywhere, being critical elements of our infrastructure, they must be made not to discriminate against anyone unless what they're doing, what that person that they're discriminating against, is illegal. Otherwise, these institutions can join together like they did against Steam and Itch a few weeks back, and they can force these businesses to conform to the Mastercard worldview. So yeah, Ultimately, this is a big win that we just saw this order coming down the pipe from Donald Trump, but it certainly does not fix the problem completely or forever. We still need that petition signed, and people need to keep talking about this subject because we are being heard. But I'm going to leave it there. Drop your contempt for the likes of Mastercard and Visa trying to control what we can see and purchase. Drop that contempt into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.